So to get that magical watercolor effect, the first thing you need to do is get a wet paintbrush and just regular water, and you're just gonna brush the water all over it. So you wanna get your paper wet. It doesn't need to be dripping wet. So just quickly brush the water all over it. We're gonna do a technique called wet on wet painting. Then we're gonna do something really cool at the end. So just get your paper all wet. If you take too long to do this and go super slow, well then it's gonna dry and it's not gonna stay wet the entire time. So just kind of quickly go over it. Make sure it's all got some water on it. Nice and shiny. And now I'm gonna paint it with cool colors. So I have purple, blue, and green. Start with whatever color you want. I'm gonna start with my purple, and I'm just gonna kind of dab some on here, just do some spots. You might decide to do stripes, you decide, but do not paint the entire paper one color, because then you won't get the cool kind of tie-dye effect. See how the watercolors are already bleeding out? That's because the paper's wet. Okay, now I'm gonna switch colors, so I need to wash my brush. Rinse it off in the water. I'm gonna add some green. Gonna spread this out. Do not paint your whole paper back and forth. Then your colors are going to mix completely and become one solid color on your paper, and you won't get all these cool varieties of colors. So I'm just gonna kind of dot it here and there. I'm not just brushing it all together. Dot, dot, dot. I'm gonna save some room for my blue. Do not flick your paint, please. We don't want to make a mess if we don't have to. Rinse my brush and go for the blue. Okay, so I'm gonna try to fill in a lot of these areas. Lots of color. Lots and lots of color. And I'm just touching, going up and down. Up and down. I'm not brushing the entire paper to become one color. We don't want to completely mix all the colors up. Okay, so I'm just gonna, there is a lot of paint on my paper, so I'm just gonna kind of keep dabbing without dipping into the paint and just kind of get some of this paint moved around. I'm gonna dip it over here, bring it over here. I'm gonna dip over here, bring it over here. I wanna use up a lot of this paint in here. It's a very, very wet paper. Try not to get it too wet to where your paint is puddling and dripping like everywhere. You don't want it too wet. So try to get some of this color over here, all the way to the edge. Don't forget about those edges. We will wipe the table when we're done. Okay, so I have got a good amount of paint. I'm gonna go double check some of these edges I missed down here. Ooh, missed this area over here. Okay, I'm gonna wash my brush. I kind of wish I had a few more spots of purple, so I'm just gonna add a little bit here and there. Make sure you wash your brush every time you switch colors to keep your paint from turning into one solid color. And I'm just gonna splash, splash, splash. Okay, I am done with this paper. Now I have salt. This is regular table salt. I'm going to sprinkle it all over my paper. And as it dries, it creates a chemical reaction and it kind of pushes the paint away from where I dropped the salt. And it will kind of look like I sprinkled fairy dust all over my paper once it dries. So you gotta give it time. When you come back, it will be all dry and you'll see some really like almost crystallized effects onto your paper.